Hello, welcome into the Skraby Show for March 25th, 2026. Thank you for joining me. You could watch the show if you would like on Facebook. You can go to 97.3 The Fan. You can also go to YouTube, 97.3 The Fan, the Skraby Show on YouTube, and then at Matt Skraby on X, 97.3 The Fan SD on X. Netflix has joined the ranks of let's interview a player during the game, which I thought was something that was done by now, but Jazz Chisholm Jr. is doing the interview. He's mic'd up right now, so they have joined those ranks. And see you, Tony. We'll see you tomorrow. Tony is out. Chris is out. Casey Schmidt actually just got hit by a pitch, so that doesn't count as a hit for Chris. And if you don't know, Chris and I are going to have this competition throughout the year, and we're going to pick a guy each night, show nights, and we're going to see if they get a hit. If they get a hit, we keep our streak going. We're going to see by the end of the year who has the longest streak. So I have Jung Ho Lee, and then for tonight, and then Chris has Casey Schmidt, who just got hit by a pitch, so does not count as a hit. I cannot believe that we're just one day away from opening day. I feel like this offseason went way faster than most off seasons. And the other day I said this, and the chat said World Baseball Classic is probably why it seemed like it went so fast. And you're probably right, because we had some great baseball. We had some good sports on during the offseason. But I just remember off seasons being a lot more painful in the wait time, because spring training usually drags by. But we are back, baby. And the Padres are going to start tomorrow against the Detroit Tigers. The opening day roster is out for anybody just getting in their car, leaving work, and you haven't heard yet. The opening day roster was released just a little bit ago, and there's no real big surprises, but here are the guys that have made the team. The pitchers: Walker Buehler, Michael King, Mason Miller, Wandy Peralta, Jeremiah Estrada, Ron Marinaccio, Adrian Morejon, Nick Pivetta, Randy Vasquez, Kyle Hart, German Marquez, David Morgan, and Bradley Rodriguez. Catchers: Luis Campisano, Freddie Fermin. Infielders: Miguel Andujar, Xander Bogaerts, Nick Castellanos, Jake Cronenworth, Ty France, Manny Machado, Gavin Sheets. Outfielders: Bryce Johnson, Ramon Laureano, Jackson Merrill, Fernando Tatis Jr. So no huge surprises whatsoever. And as we talked about earlier, there are a couple spots that are still up in the air, and these guys are probably pitching for a little bit more than just their outing. They're probably pitching for their spot on the roster. But you got Kyle Hart, you have Ron Marinaccio. Those two guys are probably, and German Marquez, are probably all pitching for an extended stay on the roster. Now, I think Kyle Hart has a little bit of a leg up on some people because he had such a good spring training. And I think that they're going to deploy him in smart ways this year. They're going to put him in situations that he is going to excel in. And I think that will make him a good bullpen option, a good lefty bullpen option for the Padres. Ron Marinaccio, I know he's been at the big league level. I know he was in camp. I know he pitched for Italy in the World Baseball Classic, but I'm going to need to see a lot from him. I mean, this is a stacked bullpen. This is a bullpen that there's no margin for error if you're someone on the bubble. So it should create great competition, and it should create a lot of good days from the bullpen. I don't know how. One of the things that I'm really interested to see about Craig Stammen is how he handles the starting pitching staff. Is he going to let them go more than 5 innings? Is he going to believe them when they say they can get another out? Is he going to kind of play it like Mike Schilt and co did last year, where they would sometimes take out a starting pitcher maybe a little bit too early? In the beginning of the year, obviously, they're going to make sure that their guys are healthy and safe and all that stuff. But when things get, when they're all stretched out and ready to go, how is that going to look? And then you got to realize that Joe Musgrove is going to be back at some point. And there's lots of guys that are going to be back at some point. Griffin Canning. You have, again, Chris and I did this the other day, but we forget who it is. and it's Jason Adams. That's the other one. Jason Adams is going to be. How can I forget Jason Adams? Jason Adams is going to be back at some point. Joe Musgrove, obviously, and then Yuki Matsui. So when you're looking at the roster, Yuki Matsui could replace Kyle Hart, lefty for lefty. And if you're looking at the roster and Joe Musgrove or Jason Adams coming back, you probably think it's Marinaccio, who's not going to be with the team anymore. If that's the case, if he pitches well, maybe someone else drops off the team. But they don't have much room for error in the position players because obviously they have a lot more, or they have a lot more roster built around the pitching. But either way, I can't say that we predicted it, but spring training answered all of our questions, and we didn't really have to deal with wondering who's going to be on this roster. You still got Sungmoon Song too. He is on the IL for 10 days. Will Wagner, oblique strain, on the 10-day IL as well. So this team's got options. Got lots and lots and lots of options. We have a couple things we need to talk about tonight outside of the opening day roster. The Athletic put out an article today revealing one more of the bidders for the Padres, and I'll tell you about that in just a second. Also, at the end of the show, I came across this, and I thought it was great, but this website did a study on which MLB fans are most likely to end the season a pound heavier. Now, it's not pure science, but they're saying the average fan watches 3.2 games per week, which could add about 18 pounds over the course of the season. They surveyed 3,000 baseball fans. So I will let you know who's the healthiest and who is not. And I am surprised, very, very surprised, as to where the Padres ended up on this list. So we'll end the show with that. But another news story dropped today about the Padres sale and about the bidding process. And now Ken Rosenthal and Dennis Lynn are reporting that Detroit Pistons owner Tom Gores has strong interest and has put in a bid. So this article on The Athletic has a few things in there that I think are worth pointing out. Well, first, Gores is estimated net worth is $10.1 billion. So if you're thinking, hey, he's got plenty of money to buy this team, he does. Now, obviously, I don't know how much cash he has on hand, but he does own professional teams, and his teams have always tried to be teams that win. So that's something I think is important as well. But what I do think is pretty important is the Padres sale is looking, according to the experts, the financial experts, it is looking like they're going to sell for $3.5 billion. Now, obviously, that is not the exact number. Could be lower, could be higher. But what they're saying here in this article is that with the Padres being valued at about $3 billion or $3.5 billion, number one, the Sidlers are going to make a ton of money on this. And number two, this is what the MLBPA, the Players Association, is going to use against the owners in negotiations when the owners say we want a salary cap and we don't want a salary floor and all this stuff, because this tells you how much money these teams have. If you are able to buy a team for $3.5 billion, then you should also be able to put some money back into the product on the field. I don't think it's just not about buying the team and owning the team. It's about making this team great. I don't want someone who's going to sit back and just let the cash roll in. I want someone who's going to be proactive in this franchise. I want someone who's going to care about the community, and I want someone who is going to put some money into the roster when needed. Because if you're going to buy a team that is in San Diego and in the NL West, you have to know that you are competing against the Dodgers each and every year. And so if you're not someone who really thinks that's something that they want to do, then you shouldn't buy this team. But as KG put earlier on the chat, his Tom Gores, his equity, private equity firm, Platinum Equity, is like the rival to the Guggenheim private equity firm, which does make me very excited, because if Tom Gores has this chip on his shoulder that he wants to be better than the Guggenheim people, then I think that's a very good thing. Owners also need a chip on their shoulder. Owners also need to understand what market they're getting into, and especially in the San Diego market. It is a much different market than anywhere else in sports. And I can tell you that for fact, because every time I talk to someone who's in radio around the country, they say, "Oh, you guys only got one team, the Padres. What do you guys talk about?" And well, now more people are asking me about SDFC. That's not a joke. But what do you guys talk about? I'm like, we basically talk about Padres as much as possible, and people don't understand it. So you have to understand what this market is. When you're buying a team in this market, you're buying a ton of fans that are smart fans that care, will show up, will cheer, will do their part to help their team win. And if you're not someone who's willing to do that, or who is willing to invest back into the fans by investing into the team, then do not buy this team, please. Do not buy this team. Let's see. Mime Jr. says, I guess people are complaining, oh, well, the Pistons don't have a lot of money put into it. Pistons have one of the best records in the league, if not the best. I think they were 53-19, possibly. Like, right, I saw it earlier. But you cannot look at the Pistons right now and say, oh, they're not spending enough money. They're winning. That's what I don't understand. It does not need to be eye for an eye. A Kyle Tucker contract does not, the Padres do not have to match a Kyle Tucker contract. It just doesn't really work that way. But the Padres have done a great job putting this roster together. So we'll see. We'll see. And with a guy who's already owned different teams, he should have a plan. And he probably knows exactly what he's going to do as soon as he gets in, if he is indeed the winner of the bid. There's also a Skraby out there that I've been told about, and I haven't received any of these emails, but the Skraby is that some Padres fans are receiving Golden State Warriors emails. And if you know, or if you don't know, Joe Lacob, one of the prospective buyers of the Padres, is the owner of the Golden State Warriors. So people are saying, well, he must have already bought it. They've already gave him the email list, and he blasted out an email and put them all on the Golden State Warriors list. I don't think that's how it's going to happen. If they were to announce the new owner, they're going to announce it a big to do. It's not going to be because Golden State Warriors emails are being sent. Mime says, I received one and I'm not a season ticket holder. It's an overreaction. I could say that about a lot of things. Hey, I got to say, when I first started radio and started with this show, I would be like, this is proof Joe Lacob is buying the team. But over the years, I've made myself a little bit less irrational. JMH says, season ticket holder, no GSW email. I don't think it means that Joe Lacob. That is strange, though. It is strange that people are receiving these Warriors emails. I will say that. I can't deny that it's not strange. It is definitely strange. But I do not think they're telling us that Joe Lacob is the owner of the Padres, because you got guys like Tom Gores, and he joins three other guys led by fellow multi-billionaires Jose Feliciano, Dan Friedkin, and Joe Lacob. So they're also saying, this is the final piece of news from this. They're also saying that a second and final rounds of bids is expected in early to mid-April, with an agreement possible before the end of that month. So they're saying possibly they could have an agreement by the end of April, which was a little bit faster than I thought. I thought this was going to be a long, drawn out process. Wait, Michael's saying that they're scam emails? Is that true? Oh, see, that definitely makes sense then. Do not click on emails you don't really know about. Trust me. Do not click on emails you don't know about. When I used to work before radio, I had to be my company's tech security guy or online security guy, and we had to go through like all these phishing tutorials to figure it out. I gotta tell you, they used to send tests to us all the time. I could identify the test and no problem, but there are people that do not know how to identify the test, and they would click on it, and then it would pop up saying, "Haha, you got caught clicking this link. You're not supposed to do this. Coming to the boss's office." Maybe not the last part, but don't click on emails that you don't know. People are always trying to steal people's information, and that's how they get it. All right, that's it for the first segment. When we get back, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Netflix game going on. We're going to talk more about the Padres and opening day. It's just going to be a fun, relaxed show on opening day eve on 97.3 The Fan.
Enjoy more.
Matt Skraby broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. And any guests that join us on the station, join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It is better. Actually, I think it's better, but, I extended it a little bit. The opening game of Major League Baseball, Yankees and Giants. Yankees are up 5-0. It's the top of the fourth. And we just had our first ABS challenge of the season. I am being told by the chat, and the batter lost the challenge. So there we go. It took 4 innings for us to get our first ABS challenge. This game is going pretty fast, I would say. I haven't seen many challenges. Chris is sitting there. He's going to be hoping for a team to do this, so that he's somewhat right. I just do not see them doing multiple challenges in a row in an inning. I just don't see it. I really don't. Unless the umpire is really bad, which can happen. It definitely can happen. Trent Grisham, he's 1 for 2. He tripled, drove in 2 RBIs. Aaron Judge has struck out 2 times. He looks as lost at the plate as he did in the World Baseball Classic. You also got Giancarlo Stanton got a hit. And Ryan McMahon got a hit. He drove in 2 RBIs. And Caballero, the shortstop, also got a hit and drove in 1 run as well. So not going well for the Giants so far. Max Fried has only given up 1 hit so far in this game, and that hit was to Rafael Devers. But things are not going well for the Giants at the moment. And yes, I do know it is the first of 162 games. So today is not going to determine their future for sure. There was something on the chat that I wanted to get to, but I don't remember it. Remember, you can go down tomorrow at Baja Rick's and hang out with Ben and Woods from 6 to 10 a.m. Also, hang out with Braden and Frank from 10 to noon. And then Sammy Love will be doing his pregame show right from the loft, as he usually does on home games. And we will be underway with our Padres season. I wanted to talk a little bit about Fernando Tatis Jr. here. Actually, I want to tell this story, and then I'll talk about Fernando Tatis Jr. because it's spring break for the kids around where I live. Like I'm seeing a lot of kids out and about during the day when I'm walking the dog. I'm seeing kids like go playing in the park or whatever, or making a ruckus, a commotion. But so I saw these kids. It was like a group of 6 kids. I would say the youngest one was 7 and the oldest one was 10. And it was a mix of boys and girls. So it just looked like neighborhood kids. They were doing what 7 to 10-year-olds do. And they were doing what 7 to 10-year-olds do. And I could hear them talking. And it was hilarious because it's just to go back and be a kid would be awesome. Just knowing what we all know now, going back to be a kid would be great. But they're walking around in this area. It's like it's a trail, but it's not like fenced in or anything, so you could walk all over the place, but you're not supposed to because it's kind of like it's like an overflow area when it rains a lot. So you're not supposed to walk all over the place. Anyway, so these kids are like talking and I'm hearing them, and then I'm thinking, man, I wonder if they should be walking over there, because the neighborhood has been really reminding all of us that the rattlesnakes are out, and a couple people have seen rattlesnakes in their yard. A couple people have seen rattlesnakes, in the trail areas. And so I'm thinking, man, that is bad. These kids are like trampling down exactly where rattlesnakes lived. And so I'm walking Lucky, and all of a sudden from behind me, because I passed them, was screams. Ah! Ah! And they're all running away. And I hear the youngest one go, because they all started screaming snake too. And I hear the youngest one going, I heard it rattle. I heard it rattle. And so they're all screaming and they're running it away. It was just so funny. But then they wanted to go back and check out the snake. And so one of the kids picked up a stick, and I'm like, yeah, this is a kid thing to do. I really did consider telling them, these 7 to 10-year-old kids, I really did consider telling them not to go back down there and mess with the snake. So my question for the chat is it up to a random guy, or is it okay for a random guy walking his dog to tell a bunch of kids that they shouldn't be messing around with a rattlesnake? Now, I didn't tell them that because I was afraid of what would happen because of our day and age. But is it okay? Like, if you're a parent and your kid came home and said, some guy told us to stop playing with a snake, would you be mad, or would you be grateful that that person told your kid to stop playing with a snake? I just felt like it would be weird for me to talk to a group of kids that I didn't know. So I just kept going on my way. And I think I made the right choice. People are saying yes on the chat. What are you saying yes to? Is it weird? Are you saying yes, it's weird? Oh, SD Mike says, absolutely. By all means, feel free to tell adults. That's stupid. Oh, okay. Everybody's saying yes, like it takes a village. All right. So maybe I wasn't in the wrong. I didn't say anything. I saw those kids again today. So no one got bit. Everything is fine. And I can go on with my day. But everybody's saying yes. Tell them. Wow. Okay. I didn't realize this. Thank you, chat, for validating my opinion. Next time I will say something, because I can tell you I have seen the snakes in the bushes and they're everywhere. So these kids were kind of being dumb. And then the kid who picked up the stick and went back to like poke the snake, I was like, I'm out of here before these kids get bit. So anyway, thank you, chat, for making me feel a little bit better about that whole situation. All right, let's talk about Fernando Tatis Jr. I mean, we've pretty much said everything that we could say about Fernando Tatis Jr. Kevin Acee put out an article this morning, and Fernando was saying he knows that there's more in there. And they were talking about last year and talking about how he didn't really know how to, he was in between his swing a lot last year. His timing was all off. Does he do the leg kick? Does he not do the leg kick? Does he make a small leg kick? Does he make a big leg kick? He went through all of this last year. And there was one quote that Fernando said, and Kevin Acee put in the article, that really caught my attention, because there have been some people that tried to convince me for the longest time that Victor Rodriguez and all of the hitting coaches over the years were an issue. But I always said, no, it's not the hitting coach. And this quote I'm about to read you doesn't confirm that it was the hitting coach, but it did, as Tony would say, raise my antennas. Here's the quote. I just couldn't click it. I don't want to say I didn't have the right help, but I feel like we were not looking in the right spots. We didn't have the right answers at the time. So I mean, I immediately took that as Fernando's talking about the hitting coaches of the past. When he says, I don't want to say I didn't have the right help, when you don't want to say something, it means it's the truth and you feel bad for saying it. So I would say that he didn't have the right help. And he said they're not looking in the right spots. We didn't have the right answers at the time. That's a curious, it's a weird thing to say. And I know that Fernando is definitely not a mean-spirited person. And he's not one to make excuses either. But I think it's fair for him to say this. And he didn't outwardly say, hey, it was the hitting coaches that did this, or I couldn't figure it out because they weren't looking in the right spot. But it also, what this tells me, and I asked Tony, do you think he's going after hitting coaches? And Tony said he didn't think so, because it was such a vague quote. But at the same time, he wasn't sure. So I'm thinking that this year, going into it with the new hitting coach, Souza, I think that Fernando found a guy that he likes. I think Fernando found a hitting coach that works with him. I think that Fernando is on the right track. He wouldn't say these comments if he didn't feel like he was in a good spot. If he was still in a bad spot, didn't think that he was going to figure it out, or get it to click. This just tells me that he feels comfortable where he's at, which is a great thing because we need Fernando to have a great year. But for all you out there that were saying it may have been the hitting coach's problem, you just got some fuel for your fire, because I don't think this quote is over the top blaming, and I don't think this quote is also enough for me to 100% link the two together. But he said it, and it makes me think. So if you want to read that full article, it's a long article. It's very good. It has all the different things. It goes over how Fernando Tatis Jr., had an off season for the first time in his career where he was able to train throughout the entire off season instead of rehabbing for part of it and getting better from an injury that he had. So everything is pointing towards Fernando Tatis Jr. to have a great season. Everything is. And I hope we are all right, because it would be hard to watch another season with Fernando struggling. But he looked pretty good in the World Baseball Classic. He looked pretty good in spring training. So I am not going to worry until we start getting 11, 12 games of no hits for Fernando, something like that. It might happen throughout the year. But for the most part, Fernando has to be a superstar. Superstar. All right, let's go to break. On the other side, we have which MLB fan is most likely to end the season a pound heavier. We'll finish with fun here on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan.
The biggest
Final segment. Wow, that seemed really loud. I think I almost blew out my eardrums there. That was weird. Final segment of the Skraby Show here, 97.3 The Fan. You can follow me on Twitter at Matt Skraby. Please follow me on YouTube. I'm not above saying, please follow me on YouTube at The Skraby Show on YouTube. SKRAB as in boy, Y. I got to tell you, did not expect for Logan Webb to be as bad as he has been tonight. They don't even have an out in the top of the fifth inning yet. Yankees lead 6-0. They've also collected 9 hits to the Giants 2. And that's not a great start to your year. And I know, again, it's 1 of 162. But still, Logan Webb has been struggling today, and their Giants defense has just been terrible. They just threw a ball away at first. Yeah, not going well for the Giants. So far, the line for Logan Webb, 4 1/3, 9 hits, 6 runs, 6 strikeouts. Not great. Luis Arraez is batting a leadoff today. He's 0 for 1 with a walk. Now, on the other side, Max Fried is pitching really well. 4 innings, only 2 hits, 1 walk, 4 Ks. So, Logan Webb is upset by that play at first. That was an easily diggable ball. But it's easy for me to say that sitting right here. All right. Oh, Dominic says, when the sinker doesn't sink, you're absolutely right. When the sinker does not sink, Logan Webb is in trouble because he leaves it right up in the middle of the plate for everybody to hit. Yankees, I'm sorry, scored another run, 7-0. Now, let me get to this. I was very excited when I found this survey. We still have the Daily Gripe at the end of the show, so stick around for that. But I saw this survey, and I knew it was perfect for the Skraby Show. So it's called The Lines, and they did a survey of 3,000 baseball fans across the country to find out the true weight of game day. So they're not saying you're going to gain this amount of weight, but they're kind of combining it. They're trying to figure out if you went to these games and you ate the certain types of foods and you didn't really exercise, how much weight would you gain throughout the year? Here are some of the key findings for this survey. Baseball fans eat an extra 753 calories on game days compared to regular days. That doesn't seem like a lot, but I was thinking it's easy to eat 753 calories at a baseball game. And you might even only have just a hot dog, depending on what you put on it and depending on if you get fries or something like that. That adds up to a potential weight gain of 18 pounds per season. The top weight gain of the season for fans, Texas Rangers. The fans there lead all MLB fan bases, snacking an extra 1,265 calories per game, enough to gain around 36 pounds over a season. Now, who had the least amount? And this makes sense to me. With only 340 extra calories per game and 2.6 games watched per week, Angels fans see the lowest seasonal gain at 6.6 pounds. Maybe it's because not many people go to their games, or maybe because they don't really want to win, or maybe because everything's too expensive, or maybe because the food's not great. I have no idea. The Angels fans eat the best out of every fan in baseball. Fans in the stadium consume the most calories, 1,240. Fans watching alone at home consume the least, but they still consume 525 calories per sitting. So where do the Padres rank? You got the Texas Rangers at the top. Padres fans are the second on this list. They gain an average pounds gained per season, 31.1 pounds. They're saying that Padres fans eat an extra 1,015 extra, that's extra calories, 1,015. I think also part of this is because Padres fans go to so many games, or at least watch so many games. 4.1 games a week for Padres fans. So that's why there's more opportunity to gain weight as a Padre fan, because there's more games being seen per week. I'm looking through the list and there's no one above the Padres. So the Padres have fans that go to more games per week than any other fan base. But if you look through, and the reason that I clicked on this was because the cover article photo had a picture of Dodgers fans with a bunch of food. And I was like, that is going to get me to click. So I clicked. The Dodgers are below the Padres. They're number 4. But still, Dodgers fans consume an extra 1,140 calories per game, gaining 29.2 pounds per season. But they're still behind the Padres. The Mets are number 3, 28.9 pounds. And then you keep going down the line. The Red Sox down near the bottom. The Marlins are down near the bottom. The A's. I got to think. I've actually been to the Marlins Stadium before, and the food was whatever. So I'm not thinking maybe the food's bad. But if you look at the bottom, the A's, Marlins, Rays, and Angels, it doesn't surprise me that those people have the worst food, and which is why people aren't eating as much. I wonder also, those teams don't really charge a ton for their tickets, but still, I found this pretty interesting. And I don't know that I agree with the Padres fan being number 2 on this list. Oh, the OG says it's the tortillas. That is true. It could be the tortillas. I love a good tortilla. Like Baja Ricks came in here, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, and they brought like a whole thing of homemade tortillas, and I just couldn't stop eating the tortillas. Couldn't stop eating them. But there you go. The who gains more weight per on game day for baseball fans. Disappointing, actually. Disappointing that 31.1 pounds per season is gained by Padres fans. I didn't know if I wanted to bring this up, but we were talking about Dodgers fans. And, oh, great, Rob Manfred's in the Netflix booth right now. I can't wait to hear what he has to say later. But I was driving to work on Monday, and this person was driving like a maniac. And so I kept my distance and everything. But of course, because the person was a maniac, they didn't really get anywhere. So I ended up actually passing them at a safe speed. But I was like, who is this maniac driving this car like an idiot? And I look, and it was some woman with a Dodgers hat on and a Dodgers jersey on. And I'm not kidding. Dodgers dice hanging from the rearview mirror, which, by the way, it's against the rules to hang stuff from the mirror. You can't be hanging dice from the mirror because it blocks your view. But so now, from now on, whenever I see a car that's driving like a maniac, I'm just going to assume it's a Dodgers fan. Just going to assume that it's a Dodgers fan, because that's what happened the other day. And it was like, it was so not satisfying, because I knew it was someone that I wasn't going to like, and boom, there you go. Let's see what the chat is saying. Raul says a lot of bars and restaurants surrounding Petco Park helps. That does help. It does help a lot. Petco Park has a lot of great food opportunities within the park, also outside the park. And I can tell you right now, I have eaten some of those fries before, and like before the game with all the fixings on top, and that's got to be a good 1,500 calories. I try not to eat like that anymore, but every once in a while, you definitely need to eat like that, okay? Everybody knows that. They have Rob Manfred Jr. on the show. I've never heard, or on the game, I've never heard Rob Manfred be called a junior before. So maybe we just learned something new today. ST Mike, I don't know how Manfred was effective as a lawyer. Dude can't talk without sounding hammered. Corey, I come over here and give me your MVP. I'm going to give you the MVP trophy. Corey. as you can see, I'm just trying to make it to the end of the show because we are back to baseball, everybody. We're going to have the Daily Gripe here in just a second, but here's my last story of the day. Major League Baseball coaches, now we learned that coaches are going to have to stay in their first and third base boxes because there was some concern that the first and third base coaches were somehow relaying the pitches and kind of seeing what was happening behind the batter. And so MLB coaches say this is actually threatening their lives. They are being put into harm's way because they have to stay in the box. 76-year-old Dave McKay, he's a base coach for the Diamondbacks, said it's dangerous right now. It really is. Really dangerous. That's a dangerous situation, said Cleveland Guardians first base coach Sandy Alomar Jr. Imagine Jose Ramirez hits a ball 115 miles an hour pull side. You don't have time to react. Cubs third base coach Quentin Berry. Every third base coach, we've all been talking about how you're constantly in danger. You never get a chance to get out of there. You can't get out of harm's way ever. And I get what they're trying to do, but you're not going to stop anything by putting people in a box. Now, what I actually heard, and I haven't read this in a while, but the coach's box has those. It's like it looks like a staple where it goes, you know what I'm talking about. You know what a staple looks. And you take the legs of the staple and you draw a line all the way back. And you're allowed to be in that part of the box. You can't go any further forward and you can't go any further back. But you could stay, you could stay within the box and you could go as far back as possible. And so that's what I've heard is the alternative. Is you give your sign, you get out of the way. But I wonder if we're going to see some sort of like pushback on this from coaches, because if they do truly believe that they're going to get injured or be killed, then I don't want that to happen. They got to figure something out. But last quote is from Yankees manager Aaron Boone. He said, I saw Pirates third base coach Tony Beasley get smoked the other day against us. I'm not all in on it where we can avoid sign stealing, that kind of stuff. I get it. Yes, in a perfect world, I want that, but they're in harm's way. Bottom line, I don't love it. So maybe something to think about as the season goes along. And Gonzo says 76 years old for the base coach. I agree. I mean, maybe you should move a little bit faster, sir.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right. So my Daily Gripe today is this. I went to a restaurant over the weekend, like a takeout restaurant over the weekend, and I was going to be eating on my way to my brother's house. And it wasn't messy or anything. It was just a sandwich. But here's the gripe. When a restaurant or a fast food place or whatever does not give you enough napkins, because you know what napkin I got out of this whole thing? I got one of those thin, skinny napkins. Just one of those. One where you use it once and it's completely unusable again because it's so thin that you can't really clean yourself up with it. You get one pass with it. I understand that napkins cost money, but I'm also paying higher prices. So please give me some more napkins. I'm just asking for like 5. And then if you ask for more napkins, you get like this look on their face like, really, dude? You need more napkins? But everybody knows the napkin I'm talking about. That super thin napkin. You know where you find them a lot? Taco shops. That's where I find them a lot. But this time it was a sandwich shop. I had mustard all over my beard. It was a whole thing. All right. That's it for the Skraby Show. Thanks, everybody, for keeping me busy during the off season. I'm still going to be with you here for the season, but Padres opening day tomorrow. Enjoy it. Talk to you after the game.